didn't even want to get into it.
Oh.
I was like, I'll actually sit this one out.
What are some things that you guys know are a waste of money, but continue to spend money on? Examples include things like scratch ticks, magic cards, fast food, phone, games, etc. I thought Harley would be awesome at this.
I got like, I just know. I'm just certain that like my company credit card is like paying for like Amazon Prime TV streaming, New Box TV streaming, Netflix, Crackle, like every single like that Crunchyroll. I'd probably pay for the pro version of XSplit, and I never ever use XSplit, and it's just a recurring cost that I never cancel. Like I'm sure if I just change my credit card, I would relinquish the sites that like I've signed up for like I'm like, oh, this is just $2 a month, but I haven't been there in 4 years and I've paid every month, and it's like I just know the biggest waste of money, but I continue to pay money on are the things that I don't know I'm spending money on.
I get my debit card changed pretty regularly. It just changed again, and what'll happen is inevitably like Sirius Satellite Radio will call me and be like, hey, you haven't paid us in a month and a half. What's up? I'm like, oh, got the card changed. You guys make the cut. Here's my new card. Here's my new card. But you know, sometimes people call me like, hey, hadn't heard from you. And like, yeah, I'm not really watching anime anymore. Not really into it. I think this is going to be it for us.
Dude,
I'm going to re-up with you guys.
It's nice to use cards just for that reason, because it cuts it off. Like a year. When did Crunchyroll sponsor us? Like 18 months ago?
Sure.
It was like 2-3 months ago. I'm like, $6.95? Really? Like, I don't really watch anime, and they're still billing me. And I'm like, I thought I canceled this, and I canceled it.
Well, you just got to watch One Punch Man.
One Punch Man?
Or not.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very good.
If I canceled Crunchyroll, yeah, watch One Punch Man. That's a good one. I'm sure it's on there.
Yeah, so that got me. But because it wasn't a credit card, it just kept billing and billing indefinitely. The worst one for us, the security system on my Apex house. When we sold the house, we called them and we wanted to cancel. Apparently, my wife, who was in charge of it, signed up for like a 3-year deal. And they're like, no. Yeah, you got to keep paying us for 3 years. You have to pay this like exorbitant like $900 cancellation fee. And her solution was just like, no, we'll just keep paying monthly. So like another fucking year goes by, and I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, oh yeah, you can still get out of it if you pay the $900 cancellation fee. And I work out the math as to like the 3 years. We save at this point like $100 by doing that. So that's the way we went, and I'm just
See, yeah, I just know that it's like stuff like that like I don't know I'm paying for, and my mom is just like, she's just like so
How about
intense.
you just pummeled Jackie? Just a real beating.
Like Harley's XSplit that he doesn't use very much anymore. At least it's kind of his and available and whatever. The freaking security system on a house we sold is I can't believe we paid for that.
What you should have done is
now that is being cucked.
You should have hooked it up for the people getting the house, and just been like, by the way, you have security here, so send me a gift basket at Christmas. But if my mom got the call of them being like, oh, you've been signed up to Crunchyroll for 2 years, she'd be like, what? Cancel it. And they'd be like, okay. And she'd be like, how much did it cost? And they'd be like, well, $200. She'd be like, I never wanted it. Give me my money back. My mom is so talented on the phone speaking to customer service that she gets it back. Or she'll come in the room and be like, Harley, you have Crunchyroll for 6 years. Just has those abilities on the phone.
I was trying
like, I used to go over on my phone bill sometimes. Like I'd go over on my phone bill. I'd have like back in the day like 1 gigabyte of data, and somehow I'd be like at 3 gigs of data like halfway through the month, and she'd call them and be like, "This is your fault." And then like somehow get off the phone and be like, "Okay, your phone's getting upgraded. And you have 5 gigs of data, and they just gave us $50 credit." And I'm like, "What happened?" I just feel like I'm gonna have a kid one day, and like the doorbell's gonna ring, and they're gonna be like, "We're the phone company. We're here for the child."
We used to have it. So when we first moved to North Carolina, long distance was way more expensive than it is now. Now I guess it's free. Like, do people pay?
Yeah,
for
it's
long
free
distance?
in the States, not in Canada, but yeah.
But back in the day, it was like 10 cents a minute. until you hit like 500 minutes, and then it would rack up. And by the way, your cell phone plan came with like 400 minutes there. So I'd be like, all right, Jackie, here's what you do. You spend 400 minutes on the cell phone, and then when that expires, I need you to flip over to the landline, and there you have like 1,000 minutes at 10 cents a minute, and don't break that. That would never happen. Ever. Like, she doesn't track her minutes or anything. And she's keeping in touch with her family. So she'd watch, like, Buffy the Vampire Slayer on the phone with her sister. Oh. And it sounds like this is really spendy, but it was a commitment I made to her. Like, hey, look, I'm pulling you out of Jersey. We're going to provide you with the mechanism that you need to stay in touch with your family. But the complication turned out to be a big loser. Even though
I ran up a $1,400 cell phone bill one time.
Yeah. Oh, we had $2,000 cell phone bills, multiple times,
God.
like all the time, And I'd have to call them up and be like, "Look, we overdid." They'd fix it for me. I'd be like, "Yeah, $2,000 for a phone bill. Like, this doesn't seem right." So they'd retroactively apply like whatever best plan would be. And that's what they do.
Well, those cocksuckers, they didn't do me any favors like that. They were like, $1,400. That's what we need from you, sir. $1,446 for those minutes you used. And it's like, Jesus, I was just talking to my girlfriend. Like this is awful.
That, because like my thing. So like I promised her I'd. Like, she takes many trips back to New Jersey, and I didn't fuss too much about the phone bill. But she'd be on the phone watching TV with her sister, but not talking. And I'm like, honey, if you're going to run up the minutes, you can't just be hanging out silently on the phone together. That seems unfair to me.
You got to be talking about Buffy the whole time. If you're not actively discussing her character arc, get off the fucking phone.
That was my thought process. It was rough.
Mine has definitely... I've spent thousands of dollars on Magic the Gathering cards, and it's only a matter of time before I sink back into it. And like that box right up there, that blue one I'm pointing at right now, the Magic Anthology set, it's got 10 pre-made decks in it that like it's like themed decks. Like there's angels versus demons, there's elves versus goblins, there's something versus something else, and then a couple of like planeswalkers versus each other, which are like rival gods basically. And it was like $150, and I was so convinced. Like, I'm going to use this all the time. I'm going to play this all the time. Can't wait. Haven't used it in like probably a year because I can't find anybody who wants to play Magic with me at this point. Where I'll be like, hey, Melissa, you want to play Magic? Because my girlfriend, she plays very rarely, and she'll be like, no, not really, because I'm better at it than her, so it's not fun. It'd be like her saying like, hey, want to have a competition to see who can do our makeup better or do our nails better? Like, no, because I'm not gonna win. Why would I do that? Like, it's been such a waste of money. And behind the couch over here I have boxes, reams of Magic cards that I like at the time was like, I'm gonna use this one for this deck, and I'm gonna use this one for that deck. I'm gonna make a whole a strategy over here, and then a new set would come out and I'd be like, well, I'm not gonna not buy this card, and I need 4 copies of it, and so it's only $25 a piece, get 4. Well, if I bump it up to foil, I can get each one for $35, and then I have 4 foil cards in my deck instead. And just I've been foolish with those cards before. Just
how old are you?
Way too many. 25.
I could just imagine, like, you're pretty like quick on it, like earlier on, you get Magic at a young age. You get a foothold and you start to understand. You play with the older kids. You're like, oh, once people my age start playing with this, they're going to get destroyed. You put all that effort in, and by the time you make the perfect deck, everyone's like, we play Pokemon now, you idiot. And you're just chilling with this big box of Magic cards, and everyone's on that Pokemon tip, and you just resent Japan for it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Where, like, and even if I can get someone to play me, like, I made the mistake of making my decks so fucking good that if I play with someone, they're like, hey, I just bought this starter deck. Like, they have literally a 0% chance of winning. Even if I try and lose, they're going to end up losing. It'd be like Kyle challenging me to a marksmanship competition, and he gives me a slingshot, is the level of difference in ability between, like, a starter deck and the ones I've made. So I really dug that grave myself of probably like $3,000 of Magic cards sitting there useless for like a year.
Why isn't Magic a popular esport?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because you have Hearthstone?
I haven't played Hearthstone. I've heard it's neat though.
I'll tell you one thing. I played Hearthstone like on my iPad like a couple years ago. I played it a bit, and then like after like the 5th game, and like Blizzard's so genius at introducing people to new mechanics and stuff. and I like played it for like, a couple games, and I was like, oh my god, hold on a second. I'm pretty sure I kind of know how to play Magic now. After years of looking at Magic cards and everything, like, I get it now. I understand kind of how the game works. Then I downloaded the Magic app, and I played the game on the app. And I was just like, it taught you how to do it, and I like kind of like Hearthstone was like the portal into Magic for me, because I only played Magic recently, and I've only played it like on the app or with my buddies' cards and stuff. But I got to tell you, one thing that's really cool about owning all those cards is like the flavor text on every card, and the pictures are so sick. Like I could just honestly, if they're useless and no one buys Magic cards anymore, because I heard there's like some that are just like worth 10K, just put them by the shitter. And every time you're dropping a deuce, like start reading your Magic cards. It's like
and look at the pictures.
Entertaining.
Yeah, that'll help the resale value.
No, well, you don't want to like
a whole new
totally right,
and a whole new meaning to flavor text.
The whole world of Magic, like how detailed it is and how good the artists are that they hire and contract to do it, like it's really neat. Like it blows Pokemon or Lord of the Rings or any other trading card game out of the water as far as the depth of the world and the art.
Why don't you want your cards to be virtual? Because it seems like that's where the people are.
I don't want to buy virtual cards. Like that's the thing. If you play Magic: The Gathering online, which is pretty big, I assume it's really big. I don't play it because you still have to buy cards, and it's to the point of like, all right, if I want to remake this deck that I have in this deck box, that cost me like $600 to make.
You should be able to scan your deck in. They should be able to like confirm that it's it, and like. Then it would make it cool, because people with people with comics, like I know they still buy digital comics so that they could read their favorite comics without touching their real versions of their comics. I mean, they should figure that out, because I'm sure there's lots of people who have Magic cards that want to play, and it kind of still has value, the fact that you have these cards and you could use them, and like that's part of it, right? Is that you have decks that people don't have?
Yeah. Like the fun part of it is like, it's tangible. Like if I want to go like like I have a $100 card or something, I can go.
If you want to go poo and read it, you can do it.
Yeah, but I don't want to go spend half as much as my actual deck costs on the same deck online.
If you wanted to poo and read it, you could probably do that with the digital one, but you can't wipe with the digital one, is what you're trying to say. I have like I was saying, that guy that like works in my basement streaming video games. He's 23 or 24 years old. I'm 31, and another buddy of mine who's 33 came over to my house, and he brought like his 1991 Marvel card collection, the ones with the white background. And it was my buddy Dave, and me and Dave are looking at the card collection, and I'm like, oh, so sick. I remember these. I used to have these, and we're looking through them. And then Mike, the younger guy, comes, and he walks into the room, and he's like, oh, cool, cards. And we're like, yeah. And he's like, so, like, how do you make them fight? And then I was like, oh, that's funny. Like, I never realized it. I'm like, well, Mike, when I grew up, cards were just to collect. There was no game. It wasn't like the Marvel, like the first game that I remember fighting was like that Marvel game, and then it was like Pokemon. I'm like, no, these cards actually, I guess, do nothing. And he was like, what are you supposed to do with it? It's so stupid. What are you supposed to do? I'm like,
just looking at
it. Yeah. He's like, well, how do you win? And I'm like, nobody wins.
That's like that scene from The Outlaw Josie Wales when Clint Eastwood asked the Indian if he's got any food, and he's like, no, just got this piece of rock candy, but it ain't for eating, just for looking through. All right, let me sneak another ad in here. Seems about like a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, and Harley's got to go. Well, let's do that first.